Pax East 2019, and I'm here with Nick from Modern Storytelling Games.
Modern Storyteller.
Modern Storyteller Games. I messed up the name of the studio. And we're here looking at the Forgotten City. Tell us about the Forgotten City.
All right, so the Forgotten City is a standalone reimagining of a mod I made a while ago. It was a mod for a popular RPG, and it got 2.5 million downloads and won a National Writers Guild Award and got some really serious critical acclaim. So at the time I was working as a lawyer and I was bored out of my mind. So I'm like, why am I being a bored lawyer when I could be making video games? So I quit my job and I started a studio, Modern Storyteller. And our first game is this one, and yeah, like I said, we're just turning the mod into a standalone game. And so the game is, I guess I'd call it it's a time loop murder mystery. So you're trapped in an ancient Roman city with a bunch of dead people. You travel back in time, and everybody's alive, and your job is to try to figure out what killed them and stop it from happening. But you get caught in a time loop, sort of like Groundhog Day or Edge of Tomorrow or Russian Doll, and you've got to try to relive the same day over and over again and try to figure out what's killing everybody and set things right. So it's like I said, it's a time loop murder mystery.
That sounds very interesting. I don't know if you ever played a game called Minute that came out last year.
I haven't played it, no.
Where you really have a minute to like play the game. But
Okay.
you can restart over and over again.
Okay,
I think
cool.
the developer put it up. That's beside the point. We're talking about your game. It's an interesting story that you said you were a lawyer. What kind of lawyer were you?
Super boring, man. Telecommunications regulation.
Yes, it's very topical. I mean,
So like one of the things I was doing before was like getting laws changed to allow telcos in Australia to expedite network expansion and that sort of thing. So it's like super not sexy, but it was an important work and that's fine. But it left me with a lot of creative energy. So for the last sort of 3 years that I was doing that, I was spending about 11 hours a week making this mod every week for 3 years. So it was like about 1,700 hours in the end that I pumped into the mod, and yeah, I think it came out pretty well.
think about how the game would be structured.
Yeah.
We do something that was more just linear, or what made you decide to do the repeating thing?
So it started out. I'd never made a mod before, so I started out just going, all right, I want to make this really awesome environment. So I decided to make this ancient underground city. And after I made the city, I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty cool, but it needs a story. I really want to put a really impactful, like emotionally moving story into this city. I did a story that's sort of on par with the environment. And so, in that particular game, there are a lot of like cities in ruin. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could go back in time to when the city was, bustling and thriving and alive and well, and figure out what caused it to be destroyed. So sort of just this, I guess, inquisitive, wanting to know the reason for things is sort of what drew me to this story. So yeah, I sort of made this sort of group of people in the past, and then what I quickly found is that, once the decline of the city happened, it was sort of all over, and then like that's the end. But I thought that's not really very satisfying. So then I had the idea to sort of add a time loop to it, so that you can like have multiple goes to try to fix what the problems were in the city. And so it's kind of like it's a really fun sandboxy type feel, because you can make mistakes, trigger events which cause everybody to die, and then just like wind back time so that you get another chance to fix things and set things right again, but making use of the things you've learned and picked up. I'll give you an example. So on your first time loop in the city, you'll meet a doctor who has just lost a patient because she couldn't get life-saving medicine in time. What you can do is find that medicine and steal it, which is the only way you can get it, and that sets in motion a chain of events which kills everybody. But that's cool because you can run back to the time portal, reset time, and then sprint back to the doctor just in time to give her this medicine and save her patient. So you've essentially changed the course of history, and that opens up all these new opportunities and possibilities, because that woman is no longer dead. So yeah, that's the sort of what exploiting the time loop is all about.
Notice your character has a flashlight. So what time period is your character from?
Present day. Yeah. So you start in present day. And that's about just making, it's about sort of immersion and giving the player sort of ownership of their character. So you get to choose your own race and gender and, your name and your backstory. You really sort of take ownership of the character, and also, setting the game is sort of in Earth also opens up a lot more possibilities than in like a fantasy setting, because you can sort of, you can have people from all over the world, like actual people, rather than just sort of, generic fantasy characters, which I think is really cool.
So the time mechanic, that's something where you can just hit a button or you have to trigger other things in order to make that happen.
So basically, whenever anyone in the city commits a sin or does something wrong, breaks the rules, it triggers this sort of apocalyptic event, and everybody dies, basically. Except one guy who sprints to this particular temple to sacrifice his own life to create a portal which takes you back in time. So that guy was the guy who sort of brought you from the present to the past in the first place, and every time you get everyone killed, that guy again sacrifices his own life to open the window again so that you can go through and have another go. So that's that's how the time loop works.
But for him, he's only doing it one time.
Well, he's doing it over and over again because you keep messing up and causing this apocalyptic event. So yeah, every time you mess up, he's got to sacrifice his own life to allow you to travel back in time again.
Is it painful for him?
Yes.
All right.
And that's why, like, he's a good guy. You probably shouldn't do it that much, but sometimes mistakes happen. So
Will the ending of the game change based on how many times he's done it?
There are multiple endings. There are at least 3 endings, and sort of variations of those endings, just like in the mod. So yeah, there's lots of different things can happen depending on the difficult moral choices that you make during the game. It responds very much to your decisions, and sort of it puts a lot of emphasis on that.
One of the characters looks like Cole from. I reminded me of Cole from the Infamous games. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, I didn't notice that. But okay, cool.
I don't know. Well, he's just like shaved head, sort of a shaved head and a shirt. I don't know.
Yeah, entirely a coincidence. I'm afraid there's no cool story.
No. I mean, those are two very different things.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of fun. I look forward to getting my hands on it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
What platforms? Release window?
So it's coming to PC and Xbox One in late 2019.
Okay.
That's all we've announced for at the moment.
About how big is the team?
It's tiny. So it's me and a part-time contract and a part-time artist. So yeah, I do a lot. I work like 80 hours a week, and it's just brutal. But that's all you got to do if you want to make a video game.
Clear. Looks good. Thank you.
Thanks, man. My pleasure. Anytime.